Welcome to Gems of Knowledge with your host David Bellman and Justin Krall. Each week, our experts will answer all of your jewelry questions with Rachel Putney, our social media maven, who will relay your questions to our experts. And now, here's your host, David Bellman.
Hi, I'm David Bellman. Welcome to another episode of Gems of Knowledge. Glad to have you here. We're very fortunate today to have a very important guest. His name is Paul. He's probably one of the foremost colored stone gem experts in America, and we're very fortunate to have him in our studio today, and he's brought with him a huge supply of very interesting and fascinating colored stones for all of us to see. So, Paul, thank you very much for being here. And, of course, our team is here, the lovely Rachel.
Hello.
And the birthday boy, Justin.
32.
32.
Yeah. And not a really good liar either. Okay.
Paul, thanks for coming on the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have
you,
you.
David.
Yeah, it's thrilling, really, because some of the material that you brought with you today is spectacular, and we're really excited to look at it. So where would you like to start?
I think let's start with some of the more recognized stones that people are more familiar with. Let's start with the blue sapphire.
Okay, so he brought a whole collection over here on the table, and as he is going to talk about them and they're going to discuss it, I'm going to put it into the light box, and we are going to really get a nice view of this stone. So I'll just bring it over here. Wow, this is incredible.
So this particular blue sapphire is a faceted stone. It's cushion shape, almost perfectly square. Very desirable shape for some of those halo mountings that are very, very popular right now.
How many carats?
That stone is just over 3 carats.
Okay.
We did ask the laboratory for origin on this. It is important to most of our customers where the material comes from, how the material was processed. This is a stone from Madagascar. They are most commonly known to have a strong blue with a secondary purple color, and the Madagascar material generally is a little bit sleepy. Not quite as lively or sparkly in layman's terms. It's a little bit more of a softer look. Very, very popular right now.
Yeah, why don't you, since we talked about this in a previous episode, and Justin's a real gung-ho about making sure that these stones are certified, maybe you guys could talk about that for a minute.
Which lab did you send this to?
This particular lab we sent to the American Gemological Laboratories. In my opinion, I think they are the leader in color in the United States. The particular person who runs the lab had worked for the Gubelin lab in Switzerland for many, many years. He's very, very seasoned with a very excellent staff.
I was going to ask you, that's in the United States. Do you think Gubelin is a little bit more, holds a higher, stronger cert, or?
It's a good question. Important stones, stones that are being sold to all different areas of the world. We have probably 5 or 6 pieces that have double reports, so certificates from 2 laboratories. It's very obvious that it is the person's opinion, the gemologist's opinion, when they are grading the stone. It's their interpretation of what they see through the microscope, what they see, the inclusions and the pattern of growth.
Right.
But again, it is just someone's opinion. So when stones become tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, $1 million stones, it's very common you have a report from the United States as well as a report from overseas.
Yeah. Some of the stones I see in Miami that are just unbelievable will have triple certs. They'll present it as this is triple certified, 3 different laboratories having the same opinion on one stone.
I was going to ask that. If it's triple started, or is it usually the same, graded the same? Or can it be 3
you would
different
hope
grades?
that if somebody sent a stone and it got 3 different lab reports, and one of them came back not so favorable in his favor, he'll say, this is double certified, and show you the ones that are in his favor.
I think clearly you'd want the labs to all be in agreement
Right.
with exactly what the stone is. It gives an added security to the end user.
Right.
All right, check out this.
This
is so
also,
pretty.
thank you. This also a blue sapphire. This is from a different area of the world. This is a Ceylon sapphire. It is just over 4 carat. It has a dimension of approximately 10 by 8. This is a very, very fine stone. You get a strong blue color with a secondary purple hue. The cutting, as David's rocking the stone back and forth, the cutting is very balanced, very even. Not only the outline, the shape, the dispersion is coming from all different areas of the stone. And with the magnification, the camera that we have with that stone, you can see internally it is quite clean. So you are looking at a stone that in the 4 categories of color, cut, symmetry, weight, it scores very high in all 4 categories.
It's much more lively.
Much more lively. We talked
Awesome.
first about the stone from Madagascar that was sleepy. This stone is quite scintillating. It looks like similar to what a strong blue diamond would look like, with all of those flashes coming from all different parts of it.
And that's what I love about blue sapphire, Ceylon sapphires, is they have that brilliance that you don't see in any other sapphire. You can just spot them from a mile away. They do. They have that blue diamond look to them.
I would not mind wearing that.
I'm going to use that in my next sales pitch. Quite scintillating.
Yeah, that I do like
That. Yeah.
And I'm noticing the depth of this stone is pretty deep
Yeah.
now. Could you explain a little bit how that is, that the purpose of that as far as orienting color and what have you?
Sure. So when the material comes out of the ground, the cutter first has to determine if the piece of rough is even color. In this particular stone, after viewing it through the microscope, this particular stone has very even color. So what they did is they balanced the depth or the bottom of the stone with the length and width. It is a little bit deeper than some stones are, but that is responsible for the light return to the eye. The light is coming in through the top of the stone, bouncing against the back of it, and pushing it back through the eye, through the top of the stone. Very dispersive. That's why that stone is a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
When it comes to color, do you think they ever will? Only because these things are sold so much predominantly on carat weight, but do you think they'll ever do something like they did with diamonds, where they'll actually figure out that a stone cut to these parameters will achieve a higher level of brilliance and dispersion than something cut deep?
So I think I understand your question.
Yeah, something like a triple X sort of thing, like a cut grade of excellent, same as a diamond would be, pertaining to a colored stone.
GIA a few years ago had gotten in touch with CIBJO, the AGTA, the AGL, Google, and everyone sat down together and said, can we color grade colored stones, and can we also grade the cutting of them? And to this day, that really has never been settled. Color is the opinion of the end user. Is it the color that they want? Is it the shape that they want? Is it the dispersion or the scintillation that they want, or possibly the sleepy soft look that they want?
Can't you make that same argument about diamonds, though?
You could, but with diamonds, it's more cut and dry. There's D color to Z color, and then some of the fancies. With the tones of a little bit more gray, a little bit more blue, a little bit more purple, you'd end up with having
Thousands.
possibly 1,000 colors. So I think that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of not being able to pinpoint one lab's opinion of what would be the top color, what would be the top cut, because to someone else, that might not be the top color or the top cut.
All right.
All right, we're going to the next stone, which happens to be a ruby.
I would say from all of the stones that we own, this is one of the finest stones that we have in our possession. This
Wow.
is a 2-carat cushion ruby. This ruby's origin is Burma. This stone is something that we have owned for over 10 years. Again, the cutting on this stone, the red flashes, the return to the eye, the balance of red, the slight purple secondary hue, and the stone being absolutely clean internal. This achieves almost all of the high points that you can get with a gemstone.
I was going to say, I know people are out there thinking to themselves right now, okay, how much? So, at a retail price, what since you've had this is such a rare stone. Just give people an idea of what the best costs.
This stone would be in the $50,000 to $60,000 price range retail.
Whoops! Oh no, I won't drop it.
Let me ask you. That was fascinating when you said you've had that stone for over 10 years. Is the fact that color is so expensive sometimes and not traded as closely like diamonds one of the simple reasons that colored gemstone dealers have to stock inventory for longer periods of time than, say, a diamond dealer who's turning his inventory constantly?
I think it has more to do with the demand or what the market is asking for. Diamond D color, diamond F color, diamond H color. It is what it is. Again, if this ruby has a little stronger balance of red and a little bit less purple, it becomes much more desirable. Now you line it up with 5 other rubies that also have a similar look to it. This particular one stands out because it's more red, more vibrant. That
beautiful.
That is a little bit more of where the price is determined, as well as what else is available on the market.
Got ya.
This would be a very difficult stone. If I had $40,000 or $50,000 or $60,000 on the table, it wouldn't be as easy as calling someone and getting that ruby, because that ruby, from what we've seen over the years, is a combination of color, cut, clarity that is very rare right now in the ruby business. And that's why once we purchased it, we decided we're not going to anxiously sell this. I think this is something that's going to increase in value, and that's one of the reasons why we've hung on to it for so long.
Got ya. And one quick question, going back to that ruby before you go to the next stone.
Sure.
Best ruby quality, pigeon blood from, or is it not that anymore?
I would say it is that. Burma is known for the strongest red, the least amount of purple, the least amount of brown. And I think that right there, that particular color is so locked into one particular region. That's what makes it so rare and so expensive, because there are so few of them that are available like this. A lot of ruby is coming out of Madagascar. There's stories I'm reading every single day. New find. But it's very clear to me the Madagascar material has a slight orange tint, sometimes a slight brownish rust color to it. Stones are beautiful, and the price points are great, and the fact that there's more of it coming out of the ground every single day, it's going to make it more affordable, more people can wear it. But something like that ruby that's so red and so rare has to place itself above the others.
Thank you for that.
All right. And I think this is a stone Rachel would probably like, because it's got a hot pink color. This is very cool.
That is really pretty.
Right now, the industry there, I've heard all sorts of terms. Bubblegum,
Yeah.
neon. This is a very, very strong hot pink 5-carat oval
It's
sapphire.
like a magenta.
That's cut really well too.
Also, a stone that we asked for origin. We wanted to make sure that we knew where the stone came out of the ground. This stone came out of the ground in Madagascar.
Oh, let's talk about treatments real quick too. Now we're talking about search.
Yes.
Let's talk about heat treatments a little bit. I'm assuming this stone is not heated or
This particular sapphire is heated.
okay.
And I will confidently tell you that it was heated to increase the strength of color. That particular stone probably had 30 to 40 less punch, just a nice medium pink. The only treatment that this stone has received has been heat. And it's funny. Some people think, oh, well, you put it in the oven a couple of hours. The heating process,
It's that easy?
it's not.
No.
The heating process on something like this can take 30 to 60 days.
And
Two
what
questions.
does it do?
Yeah. Go ahead,
Exactly.
Rachel. Go ahead.
So the stone will be put in a kiln, and the stone will be put at 100 degrees for a week.
Yep.
It'll be turned up to 200 degrees for a week, 300 degrees for a week, and they'll keep increasing the temperature very, very slowly. It's no secret when you heat something, there's some expansion. And this stone was probably heated in its rough state,
Okay.
and that would be to, if there was any expansion during the heating process in the rough state, the expansion could take place. You wouldn't be breaking the gemstone. You might be creating a fissure or a small crack in the rough. That would be cut out or removed from it at the time of final faceting. So a month to heat the stone up, a month to cool the stone down, and then the cutter will relook at the rough again, cut out the fissures, cut out the large inclusions, and then try and get the best part of the rough to produce the best stone.
And the labs know that something's been heat treated because of the expansion, if you have little crystals inside, or needles, or whatever the case may be, they expand, and you'll see a halo around a crystal or something. Good characteristic of heated, correct?
Excellent. You are completely on your game. The first thing that we look for under the microscope would be considered sometimes a halo.
Yep.
You see a halo, or sometimes it's called a lily pad. It's expansion around either a crystal, most commonly a crystal, but sometimes you can see expansion around a small tube. You can also see some fingerprints that are sometimes created during the heating process as well.
So how often will you see an untreated sapphire of that color?
I would say 70 to 80% of all of the sapphire in the marketplace, pink, yellow, blue, right now is heat treated.
Okay.
10% of it, the color is altered, and we can save that conversation for a little later down the road. The other 10% of that material is unheated. The rough sapphire comes out of the ground, magnificent color. They look at it and they say, you know what, we're not going to heat it. We're going to keep it just the color that nature created, and we're going to cut it into a faceted stone from that and give it a document that says all natural.
All right.
Cool.
Another exciting stone.
That's really pretty.
Yep.
I love green.
Green, the color of money. This is
Exactly.
this is a tourmaline from a fairly new find in Africa. It is a combination of yellow, green, and maybe just a little whisper of blue that we may see with that
I
stone.
can see it. Yeah.
Again, cut very well, very clean. Tourmaline is probably one of my favorite stones. It comes in a variety of colors. People are very familiar with the pink, people are very familiar with the green, but tourmaline actually comes blue, yellow, brown, etc. This particular balance of color, the size of the stone, is great for a cocktail ring or a pendant. It's really a showstopper.
And just let's talk about tourmaline is a pretty famous New England stone. Some very, very beautiful rough has come up from Maine. We can talk about that a little bit.
That is correct. Maine is known for its pink tourmaline and some of its green tourmaline, usually in a specific color. The pink tourmaline generally is a baby doll or a light pink. And the greens that we've seen come out of Maine can be a little bit more of a darker tone, a little bit more of a yellow-green tone, coming right out of a very fine mine in the middle of Maine.
Dave, that was some fancy work with the tweezers
I was
there.
just going to
I
say
was
that.
very impressed.
How many people can do that?
I am a professional. Well, you've been doing this as long as I have. Okay, Howard, let's... Before I drop it, we'll move it on. All right, so I'm going to let you guys pick the next one because we have so many others that are fun.
I want to pick.
All right, Rach.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Beautiful. And this is actually a lot to talk about here. So why don't you go ahead and...
So Rachel has picked a tourmaline that has a controlling color of blue,
Ooh.
a secondary color of green. These tourmalines originally came out of a location only in Brazil. It was a location that they called Paraiba. Later on, down the road, this material has been found in Africa. The stone that we are looking at now is a 7.5 millimeter round Paraiba tourmaline from Africa. The stone is blue, secondary color of green. This is a fairly rare stone. A lot of times this is called swimming pool blue. It was first discovered, I believe, in the early 70s. When they first took this material out of the ground, it was a strong neon blue tourmaline that is copper bearing. One of the elements inside this particular tourmaline is copper. That is partially responsible for giving it its strong blue color.
Any treatments?
All natural. No
Great.
heat, nothing.
Well,
So my question is, they talk about origin a lot. When you send it to be graded, how do they determine the origin?
they are able to use some very, very strong microscopes and sort of pinpoint the growth and or the inclusions that are known for that particular region.
Wow.
Very cool.
Love to talk about all the different types of treatments out there on color because it's getting very, very complicated.
You know, reading, education, reading, I can't do enough.
Yeah.
It's changing. I would say you can almost say it's changing weekly.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's my job to educate. I think 50% of our sales are made by educating the retailer, educating the designer what they're working with. The more information that they can construe to their client and help through the sale.
We could have Paul back to do another show
Another 50 shows.
just on treatments alone.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Lot to
going
it.
to work on the moonstone here. This is a trickier stone to show. Be interesting to see how it reproduces on the camera. So I'll put it against the black.
Oh, that actually came out great.
Pretty good, David.
Yeah, you know.
It reminds me of a jellyfish.
So this is a Tanzanian moonstone. This is a feldspar variety, and it is considered a phenomenal stone. I will tell you, folks, in carrying moonstone for over 30 years, I've heard it all. Is there a light bulb in the stone? Does the stone have batteries? Where does the battery go? Do you have to charge it? It sounds very childish, but I've heard
You've
it all.
really heard that.
I have heard it all. There are small inclusions inside of this clear, colorless stone where the light is separated and pushed back to the eye in a blue-purple tone. The inclusions are not visible to the naked eye, only visible to the microscope. That is what makes this a phenomenal stone. The light return to the eye, the billowy effect, the azurescence that the stone is able to produce. Very common with Tiffany's back in the 70s, very popular, and this stone is having one of the biggest rebirths in the past 3 years that it has ever had. The high-end designers, the high-end stores, and the starting out students are using moonstone from A to Z.
Wow.
The antique moonstone, like we were talking about before. Rachel, when you go to Miami this year, you're going to see tons of it, like carved moonstone.
I'm so
Big
excited.
big bucks, very fine quality.
That is another stone. There are no treatments, all natural.
Yeah, because if you heat it or do anything, it's ruined, right?
Can you even treat it?
You can heat it, it'll end up looking like a car windshield
Right.
after it's been broken.
Ooh.
That stone does not like heat. That stone does not like ultrasonic.
Right.
Okay.
Got to be careful with that, cleaning it.
All right, let's do some opals.
This
Came out great.
This is our not for sale black Lightning Ridge opal from Australia. Lightning Ridge is known for a blue, black, gray body color with strong yellow-green flashes.
Wow.
This particular stone would be considered paintbrush strokes as opposed to the opal pin fire that would be the little dot, dot, dot of colors returning
Right.
to the eye. This almost looks like someone took a small paintbrush and just smeared the green on top of a blue stone.
Okay.
The stone has life, the stone has motion, the stone has movement. That is a 3-carat black Lightning Ridge opal.
And you said not for sale.
Not for sale.
What are you going to do with it?
You know what? I'd like to make a men's ring out of it for myself one day.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for
Is
you.
that good for a ring being a men's ring? So soft?
So sometimes we call it bedroom jewelry. It's got to be worn to special occasions, and it is going to require some other care than some of your diamond rings or some of your other sapphire ruby stones that are much harder.
Right.
Here's a good question for you. So I've been told that, because I've had dealers that I've dealt with, men who actually were at Lightning Ridge and actually mining their own opals and then cutting them themselves and then bringing them to the U.S. to sell them. I mean, that's how big of a deal these black opals are. Is it true that they say it's the lightning that hits the ridges that are turning the opal black? That's why this particular color of opal only comes from this one area?
So I didn't hear that at GIA, but I have heard that several times. I don't believe that there is any evidence that the lightning striking the ground is producing it. This is a liquid that is running under the ground that becomes a solid. A silicate is what this material actually is. But boy, that's a great story. And
Well, is there any other place in the world that it comes from other than Lightning Ridge?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
There is some black opal that comes out of the world in other areas, but this blue, gray blue body color with the green yellow paintbrush strokes is most commonly known for Australia.
Wow. All right, let's change colors. Let's go to something a little more bright and orangey, yellow.
So we're back to sapphire. This would be a radiant cut. I believe this is a 4-carat stone measuring almost 12 by 10. It has some extra faceting on the back. It's an emerald cut outline, but we've done some extra faceting on the underneath of the stone as well as on the top to give it a little bit more zip.
You know, this is a cut that almost looks similar to like a scissor cut that when I see in colored stones instantly leads me to believe synthetic when I see a scissor cut like on a men's big sapphire that looks like cashmere. Then they're always synthetic, but this looks beautiful.
I agree with that. We're very commonly on the synthetics, especially the light blue synthetic spinel. They were all made like this. My interpretation of this stone, and I don't know this for factual, if you look into the center of the stone a little bit, you're losing some of the color. Just a little bit. Maybe around 20-25% of the center stone, you see that light yellow as opposed to the rich golden on the edges.
yeah.
My belief is that this stone, David, if you can flip it on the back side, it's fairly shallow. There's not a real big bottom to that stone.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe that they did that extra scissor faceting on the back because when that stone did not have it, I think that window, as it's sometimes called in our industry, was much larger. I think that scissor faceting on the back of the stone was able to really close that window by returning the light to the eye and made the stone a better make than if it was just emerald cut.
Got ya.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point. Windowing is something that people should be, somewhat aware of. That when we're talking about that is when you look at a colored stone and all of a sudden you see kind of a void.
Dave, put your finger under the stone when it's in focus
Perfect.
so you can show them
Perfect.
what windowing actually means.
Okay, let's try it like this. Oh yeah, yep. You can see the black coming through.
Yeah, so that part of it is the window.
This is one major aspect that is a very important aspect when buying color that sometimes people don't really understand. It's not just the color and just the price. It has to be a nice make or a nice build, as it sometimes is called.
Right.
I believe that those extra faceting was done to make that stone pop a little more.
Yep.
No, and that's what a good colored stone cutter does, right? That's his job, is to try to bring out as much of the color out of a stone as he possibly can.
Very well said. His job is to make the stone look as impressive as it possibly can.
Rachel, I'll let you pick another one. What would you like to see? Because we're getting close to the end.
Gotta
and
pick the Alex.
Birthday boy.
Oh, okay.
Which
I get
one?
this one. Well, do we have time for 2 more or just one more?
Well, let's go for it. Yeah, let's see what do you want to do first.
Well, we
Gel
gotta get
box.
the Alex in.
Okay, this one.
Nope.
This one.
Oh, that's not it. There we go. All right, so this is the color change. I don't know if we'll get it to do that, but let's give it a shot.
Yeah, because I knew this one was gonna take the most time.
Okay. Oops. Get out of there. Well, go ahead and talk about it for a minute while I set it up.
Alexandrite. Not known by all in the gemstone profession. It is a more unusual stone. It is the birthstone for June. Alexandrite is a phenomenal stone because it changes color with different lights. An incandescent light will give that stone a purple-red effect. A fluorescent light will give that stone a green-gray or
Yeah.
green-gray-blue effect.
Change some lighting here. Let's see if it makes a difference.
Do you have that pen light?
I do.
Paul, while we're doing that, what is it inside Crystal Barrel that you could have just a green one or just a red one or whatever the case may be? What is it in an what is it, a trace element? Is it something bearing inside that makes it a color change versus the other ones.
The light enters the Alexandrite and comes and is pushed back out of the Alexandrite. With the fluorescent light, how the molecules are arranged in the stone tends to go to the red-purple. When you're using an incandescent light, it reverses itself. So it's really the inclusions that are inside the stone that creates the different color with the different lights. Somewhat similar to the moonstone.
Okay. And those inclusions are different than, say, just a regular green crystal beryl.
It's trapping the light inside the stone, which is
Okay.
what's causing the stone to change color.
Got ya.
Well, unfortunately, due to my butter fingers, I have dropped the Alexandrite onto the floor, and if this particular carpet is going to be impossible to find while we're on the show, so we are going to. Plus, I'm not sure that we were able to get that color change anyway. But let's move along, and wow, the smaller stones are being much more
The stone that
particular.
The stone that David is picking up right now is also a sapphire. This stone has been very popular for the past 3 to 5 years. It is an unusual combination of peach and pink.
Wow.
These are commonly sold in the trade as Padparadscha sapphires. What they don't want is they don't want to see any brown inside the stone. It's just a combination of orange, pink, and peach that creates this beautiful lotus flower color. This
That is really-
Thank you. This particular stone is an unheated Padparadscha sapphire. So this now gains another category of rarity because it has the combination of the colors that is not quite common in sapphire and was produced out of the ground all natural. No heat took place to create this color.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a great shape too. It's a great shape. That stone only weighs a carat 35. It looks like it's much larger on the finger or in the tweezers than the actual weight of the stone. It has a lot going for it.
And I think what's interesting about this, for a lot of people who are new to colored stones, sapphires come in a million different colors. People think blue,
Yeah.
And now you've shown us a different color, 3, 4 different colors already today.
Yeah.
And there are purple sapphires, and obviously there's the pink sapphires. There's all different types of sapphires.
Every color.
Every color.
Every
yeah.
color.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, price per carat on that stuff, retail?
That's in the $5,000 to $6,000 a carat retail.
Okay.
Now, this is something that's getting a lot of press lately because it's from, very few colored stones come from the U.S. I mean, we talked about Maine tourmaline, but go ahead and talk about
So recently, so for years and years, sapphire has come out of the U.S. in some small areas of Montana. In the last 24 to 36 months, the Montana sapphire has really had an explosion here in the United States. The blue is a combination of blue, gray, green, sometimes blue, gray, yellow. These stones can be heated to enhance the color. These stones can be natural. A lot of the younger millenniums are graduating towards this type of sapphire, and I think one of the aspects that they are very interested in is that this is all usually encapsulated in the United States. And what I mean by that is the stone comes out of the ground in Montana. It's faceted in fair trade, fair condition situations where the stone is being cut. And then it goes into the marketplace. There are concerns, as there has been for years and years, that some of these overseas cutting facilities are not quite treating their employees as they should be treated. And it's very important to us that the stones that we source are sourced only from sources that are creating a good environment and what is called a fair trade issue.
Do you mean they're not letting them go to kindergarten?
I mean, the conditions are...
They're young, like slave labor.
Child labor.
You know what?
Yeah,
That's some of it as well.
That's terrible.
Child labor and unfair conditions, unfair payment, and it is very important to us, as it is to many of our customers. They will specifically ask. We have a very fine manufacturer in Pennsylvania who specifically asks, we'd like a green tourmaline, we'd like it to be this size, and we need some information on background of the stone.
Absolutely.
And they put my feet to the fire. And there have been times There was an opal that I was not able to give them the information that they wanted on the background of this particular opal, and they passed on the
Didn't
sale.
buy it, yeah.
It's
That's
that
tough.
important to
It is
them and their
important to a lot of
customers.
people now.
That's got to be very difficult, especially for stones like a lot of colored stones. They're not new stones. They're stones that have been circulating around. They've been other pieces. They've been taken out, and because they're in beautiful condition. They'll basically last forever if you take good care of them. And what do you do in a situation? You can send a stone out and have it certified and find out where it came from, but how it was sourced or who did the work or did the
Yeah.
polishing. That's tough.
That's why on eBay we promote the fact that all of our jewelry is estate jewelry, and you're not promoting more mining, more child labor, more all of that by recirculating and reusing, these old estate pieces.
Right.
Oh. Well, I have to tell you, this was fantastic. This was an unbelievably exciting collection
Absolutely.
that you brought for us today, and I'm really looking forward to having you back again because I know you have a lot more. And we could even go into certain just categories or varieties, like the sapphires, and show 15 different stones, all of different quality. So that's exactly what we're going to do in the future. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Gems of Knowledge.
I have 2
And-
questions.
Of course you do.
Well, yeah. What's your
Please.
personal favorite?
Okay. Oh boy.
I would say that my personal favorite would have to be that red ruby from Burma.
And what is the most popular? What are you selling the most of?
Sapphire, hands down.
Blue or all?
That's exactly how I would like to answer the question. Because Sapphire is not just available in blue, that's what puts Sapphire so far ahead of the other qualities, the other type of gemstones that we sell.
Right.
Very cool.
Okay.
Very
Answered.
good.
And
All right.
you will have to come back because we're going to find your Alexandrite.
Thanks for.
Yeah. Well, if it gets vacuumed up, I mean,
It's only 100,000.
yeah, it's no big deal. I'm just not going to move this chair because I'm not going to wheel it around and hear a little crunch and then say, okay, what did that cost me?
Hey, I'm doing the vacuuming, remember, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden-
will scoop it up.
Yeah, all of a sudden he wants to do housework, huh? Okay.
And then he doesn't come back to work.
Yeah, we never see him again.
Yeah.
Where'd he
New
go?
house, new car.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for.
Yeah, thanks for
Thanks
coming,
for being
Paul.
here.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.